90% of respondents believe security teams need to increase their understanding of cloud-native environments to ensure applications are secure.
9 out of 10 of you, whether you're a security professional or in DevOps, platform teams, you admit that you need to have a great understanding of cloud-native environments.
I actually agree with this assessment. This number, while it seems like a very high number, but I think from a percentage perspective and how security teams operate. Personally, I have seen security teams showing greater interest more recently, and that's primarily because they are being made aware of the adoption of cloud-native technologies. And also the fact that organizations are adopting cloud compute and various different models a lot more than they have in the previous few years. Security teams generally are used to working in a static perimeter-based model. So I understand the value, understanding the value of what cloud provides, what business value it provides to their own organizations would be a good starting point for the security teams to sort of try and get a better understanding of what is that they can do to help, one, their internal teams, and two, drive and deliver business value to a lot of other customers. So there are a lot of trainings, resources available for the security teams to sort of start getting understanding of what is that the cloud native environment does, how is it different from an environment that I've been supporting for the last 5 years or 10 years. Is it substantially different? Is it completely different in a way that requires me to do things differently? Obviously, there are questions that needs to be answered, and there are trainings, resources available. At Venafi, we work very closely with our customers to bring them up to speed on latest trends. We do trainings for our security champions to help them understand what cloud native environments are, how can they support the growing aspect of these environments within the organization and such.
I read that as, first, we need to understand cloud native technology. So, that's why always I suggest, whether you're an executive or an architect, first you got to understand the technology. So spend a weekend actually using it, using Kubernetes. Understand the difference between an ingress and Spiffy. What's the difference between a pod and a node? All of these are capabilities that we need to get a much greater understanding of. What's the difference? And then be able to communicate with teams. That's one of the things. If we have knowledge, then as we engage with others, we're going to have greater respect and understanding of both the opportunities and challenges. So that's first, my recommendation after taking a look at this is get to know the technology.
So if teams are multifunctional, comprising of a range of skill sets, then all team members need to understand the target environment of their product. Foundational certifications are a very official way to level that playing field. Alternatively, perhaps team leaders could organize things like bag lunches to help spread the knowledge throughout the team. We're told in the report that many are now realizing that they may not have spent enough time optimizing their approach for cloud native.
About 53% of our respondents talk about doing a lift and shift to the cloud, with most application code remaining the same.
So 53%, is that higher than I would expect? And why is it a concern from the point of view of security? Personally, I think that's about right. I think it's to be expected. Lift and shift is by far the quickest route to the cloud. So if, say, your data center is being decommissioned in 3 months, then it's a totally viable and justified solution. That said, anytime we attempt to move quickly, security becomes at risk. Fundamentals like identity and access management, or IP addresses that might change, data center firewalls that you know so well, will be replaced with alien concepts like VPCs and security groups. Post-migration, organizations should conduct a security audit to understand where the biggest risks reside and prioritize their next steps accordingly.
53% doing a lift and shift, in my opinion, is actually a much higher number. I was expecting that number to be much lower. Hopefully, beyond 2023, we won't hear the words lift and shift a lot because that's traditionally something that we used probably 10, 15 years ago when we used to talk about, oh, you're running workloads, let's just do a lift and shift. So I understand there may be some use cases. It may not be possible to optimize and the application just needs a new vehicle. People do lift and shift. But applications that are built for a data center or traditional environments never consider the security model that is applicable to cloud native environments. So those controls that were defined for those applications that were running in a data center were put in a place with a perimeter in mind, essentially a box that was well defined, that sort of a thing. So when we talk about cloud native technologies, cloud compute, there is no perimeter. So these security controls that existed in a traditional environment just cannot be lifted and shifted and expected to work in the exact same way in cloud native environments. So there is some optimization that needs to be done. There is some work that needs to be done to leverage the best of the security controls that the cloud native environments provide, the cloud providers provide, and essentially use that to optimize and how your applications work. And I believe majority of the organizations are trying to do that, but traditional lift and shift just doesn't work anymore because you have to really go and do something to get the best of the cloud environments. And I would hope that, as we sort of, hear from our respondents in the future, so that number continues to go lower and lower to say, we don't do lift and shift anymore or something like that. Hopefully that's the future. And to learn about the biggest threats, the challenges impacting security, what we think about platform engineering and how they will evolve over a period of time, and what kind of security services they will provide to their developers, check out Venafi's full report on the state of cloud native security.